This is Mackie with Flip Clock Fans. We're doing a little review of a General Electric Model 74305F alarm clock, radio, flip clock. I've had some trouble with this one. This was a Goodwill find that had to be restored. And I just don't like working with this. I'm a fan of Panasonics, if you haven't figured that out yet, but I didn't have fun with this. One thing that was really driving me crazy was that as the clock would run, it would start making a noise like it was struggling to turn the numbers. Ultimately, what I think I found out was the turn dial here and then the dial here were mated right up against each other, plastic against plastic. And after a while, as the motor would turn the numbers, it would start binding on this plastic. I'd searched in and out and up and down through the gears to try to figure out why it was binding up like that, and I'm pretty certain it's that. So I've put some silicone grease under there. Maybe there was a felt thing under there at some point, or maybe it was just a flaw. But anyway, it's a fair clock as far as it goes. The thing I do like about it is the plastic is not easily cracked. It's very sturdy. The light uses a glow light. It is an AC 120 volt glow light, and that one's been replaced in here. I'll do a quick disassembly, hopefully quick, to show you some things about the clock. They're okay to work on, but anyway, as far as disassembly, this clock's pretty straightforward. We got to pull this off. Usually, I always have trouble getting it off, so I'll pull off like that. And pull off here, straight off. Now there's little collars here. You'll want to kind of keep track of those. And then disassembly is pretty straightforward on the Model 74305F. We just take out a bunch of screws. They're basically the same all throughout here, the cabinet. And like I said, the thing I did like was that it seemed to be harder plastic than some of the Panasonics, the famous Panasonics, the 6015, the Back to the Future, and the Groundhog Day clock. Is it a better clock? I don't think so. The sound of the clock doesn't quite match up to the Panasonics. It really wasn't. If you turn it up a little louder, you'll be maxing out the speaker pretty good. It's not a really good listening clock. It's not like the other two Panasonics I mentioned are great, but they do have a pretty decent sound. If anyone's had one, they would confirm that. This is not to that standard. Screws everywhere. Oh, I forgot to take off there's a little FM AM selector here that slides back and forth for AM FM on the side. That just pops right out. And then when you lift the cabinet off, you lift off, tilt this way to clear the post here. So it's got room in there. I mean, it's got room to grow. I mean, it's got the circuit board over here, main circuit board. Power boards coming in here. That's 120 right there. Dangerous. You shouldn't be doing this with the lid open, so I'm setting a bad example. This just lifts right off. I've had the whole thing completely disassembled. Now, here's another thing. You got to kind of mix the tuners that involve a string. I've never really had one break. You can see it runs clear over here to move the dial. I've never really had one break, but to me it just seems like something ready to happen. So that's alright. I guess some of my older Panasonics have that. So it does seem to be a little older than the famous Panasonics. The motor, kind of a weird location in the back here. And to see if the clock motor is working, you actually have to disassemble it. On some of the other clocks, they have little viewing ports. Some of the Panasonics will have a little whirligig moving around in the front. Kind of gee whiz, but it does let you know that the motor is actually moving. And if you can see, that motor is actually moving. The glow lamp, you might be able to see that down in there. It is 120 volts. So here's our AM antenna right there. The tuner, selector switch. The volume's here. So if you did have to do some lubrication of the contacts, it's a little bit hard to get to, but it's there. I mean, you could get that out. So, and here's the speaker. It just seems a little cheaper, the speaker, than the Panasonics. I don't know that it is, but it just doesn't have as good a sound. So anyway, that's the General Electric 74305F. There's different configurations. Like I said, some of them don't have the stuff on the top. It's just plain on top. Good little clock. If you had one as a kid, you might want to have one of these. I don't have any interest in it, so I'm actually going to give this sucker away. You probably, by the time you see this video, it's too late. There's a contest going on, flip clock fans. This is actually going to be a consolation prize. So if you get it, I'm not telling you it's a bad clock. It's just not for me. So that's probably why you're getting it. Anyway, that's just a little review of the General Electric 74305F. Maybe if you hear that kind of a binding up sound, maybe you can consider putting either some lithium grease, or I put silicone grease. We'll see how that works there, or just kind of pull it out and loosen it so they're not up against each other. But that turns out to be what it was, because this hasn't made that sound since. Alright, so I'll throw this back together, and we'll try to get hold of some other interesting flip clocks and do reviews in the future. Thanks, and come visit us at flipclockfans.com.